freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same. And if you and I don't do this, then you and I may well spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it once was like in America when men were free.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Gun Freedom Radio, where we engage, we educate, and we inform. I am one of your hosts, Cheryl Todd.
And I'm the other guy, Dan Todd. We're doing a series called Ameri-CAN, and we have world famous, I said world famous, Maj Toure on today.
Awesome. Matter of fact, I think you are world famous, aren't you?
I think I'm big on the internet. I'm big on the internet.
Now there's that one guy, that one guy somewhere. I don't know where.
In some other country.
And then he knows you.
That makes
You're
you
world famous.
Right. That one dude.
So with the whole Ameri-CAN, it's maybe a little of a wink at it, but truly a can-do spirit is part of the DNA that runs through our country that helped us to have the country that we have. All of our founding fathers and our forefathers, they just believed they could, and they did. And we're hearing so much right now with our lives being turned upside down with this COVID-19 situation about all that we can't do and the places we can't go. But the guests in this series are going to talk to us about their area of expertise and all of the ways that we can still learn and grow and connect and train and expand our freedoms in ways that maybe we hadn't thought of before. And so Maj, of course, world famous Maj, he is the founder of Black Guns Matter. Oh, I love that t-shirt. We can see that's freedom over everything. And then I've got, look at this, I got my merch right here.
Oh, there it is. There it is.
Black Guns Matter t-shirt right here.
I like it.
The founder of Black Guns Matter, which is a group to help urban communities learn their gun rights and responsibilities. So Maj, we were talking off air the other day, and you are the can-do guy. You are the let's break the rules for freedom guy.
Yeah.
And you were talking about how we have so many brand new gun owners that have come to this world because of the COVID-19 thing. That they've realized finally that we must be our own immediate responders. And you were talking about the idea of what do we need to do? We need to welcome them in, right?
I think it's very important that one, thanks to you both for having me. Obviously, everybody that's listening right now, you need to go over to azfirearms.com and pick something up. That's number one. Number two, I think that it's very important that, as we don't have this arrogant approach. Like we were talking off air a while ago, and there's a story of a guy, he's a hardcore atheist, and he's on a plane with his friend, and they're good friends, and they're talking. One of them's a believer, one of them's not. It's cool. You do whatever you want. And the plane starts getting into massive turbulence. And in the middle of the massive turbulence, the believer looks at the atheist dude, and the atheist dude is praying. And in times of turbulence, you come to what you actually are, generally. If you're a coward, Sheriff Israel down in Broward County, he was a coward. When times happen, when it gets real, people show you who they actually, are. I think that same approach goes when we are recognizing that so many people that were fighting against guns, we call, and I say we, not me personally, but we as a community, sometimes we've called them names. We've said, because they don't get it right at that moment. But then when the extreme scenario or circumstance happens, it is a beautiful thing that they go to what they actually know to be accurate, which means in this space, they recognize that nobody was coming to save them. Literally, the fear of, man, I have groceries and toilet paper, but I don't have the means to defend it. And we're paying attention to the police all across the nation saying, hey, we're going to let people out from jail, but we're not going to respond to calls. You know, so these were all things. And again, I'm not saying that everybody that's in jail for nonviolent offenses for weed should be in jail in the first place. However, at first glance, I think that a lot of our brothers and sisters on the left recognize that contradiction. And they were like, you know what? I want to get something. Then they go, especially if they're in places like New York, New Jersey, California, they go in and they're like, hey, I want to use the gun show loophole. You know what I'm saying? Or I want to just buy it online. I just want to get in and get out like you should with any purchase. And they saw another lie. They were like, wait, so I can't just buy it online? The extreme scenario or the turbulence that we were all are and currently still are dealing with around this COVID thing, whether it's man-made, whether it's a hoax, people are dying, so it's real in that regard. So there was a moment to, a moment come to Jesus moment for a lot of people, and in that space, it becomes, okay, what are you going to do? And with a lot of those gun owners, out of the 2.5 million that have purchased guns in the country in the month of March, because we don't know how many of those right now are first-time gun owners, but there's a chunk of them. What we have to recognize is this was something that they bucked all of their traditional theory or what someone had told them. I don't care if it's only 1,000 new gun owners. Doesn't matter. It may be 100,000. It may be 1 million. Who knows? Whatever that number is, those were people that when turbulent times came, they went to their rod, And so with that being the case, I think it's very important for us to respect that objectivity, even though it came late, but it's better late than never. I think it's very important for us as, gun owners or people that have been involved in the gun community or gun culture for some time. I think it's very important for us to embrace them, as well as use these things as a teachable moment. When they go, yeah, man, I went and I tried to buy it online. They said I had to wait 3 to 10 days. Then after this, because this too shall pass, this ain't the bubonic plague, this ain't the Spanish flu. It's not. Is it going to suck for a decent amount of people in America and around the world for some time? Absolutely. Is my greedy butt not being able to go as it gets nicer outside, not being able to go, eat great food and put You Wasn't There videos up? Yeah, that's going to be tightened up for a bit. Does it make us look at the concept of government overreach? Absolutely. I think that we're going to all come out of this stronger, because the reality is we're forced to, whether through nature, whether through biochemical warfare, government overreach, all of these things are making us question what's really, really important. And those moments that a lot of our brothers and sisters on the left were faced with, they made a decision. And their decision was, I am going to be responsible for defending my home, my family, and my property, and my stuff, and my canned beans, whatever they are. And I think it's very important for us to respect that decision that they made of their own volition. What really happened was all of the security blankets were removed. Now you're making a decision of your own volition. The government didn't say, hey, you're going to go get a gun. The government said, hey, bro, you're on your own.
Yeah.
They
said it just like that too, Maj.
Right. You're on your own, And it started to look like it might have been the purge outside, and they made a decision. And I want to urge those new members to the gun community to think about that and remember that sometimes in extreme scenarios, we make, decisions, but then we become complacent and comfortable again. And we forget your lived experience within that moment. If every other time that you're experienced with law enforcement and the government in general, if you're one of the very rare people that every time you've went into a government building, it's been smooth sailing, you never had an issue, whatever. If you're that one person or two people on earth, or however, I still want you to remember what happened in a time of calamity. Your government said you're on your own. And I don't want anyone to ever forget that, because it's easy to not have to lean on it when those times are not called upon. It's easy to, not be able to, raise your game, and shot clocks, winding down. It's game 7 of the championship. It's easy to not want to take that shot. And it's easy to not have to deal with the responsibility of taking that shot, win or hit or miss. But I want, our brothers and sisters that are new gun owners to remember, the people that were there for you. I myself gave away about, I don't know, maybe 2,000 rounds of ammo in the first 2 or 3 days to people that was hitting my phone up like, Maj, I know I got this old gun. And what were you saying again? And those moments were beautiful moments. And I think it's our responsibility to make sure that we're embracing them, as well as reminding them to remember who was there for you, who was there for you and who kind of like left you by the wayside. And I think that having that balance from a respectful and empathetic place is how we maintain them in the gun community. And if after all of this is over, I know that I'm going to be able to buy some really, really inexpensive firearms on the secondhand market.
Yeah.
That is a true. That's a true
in
thing.
our experience at azfirearms.com, I would say out of 10 people, 3 were brand new, never touched a gun in their life, and didn't want one in the past. So we're looking at maybe, a third of the people out there that are buying guns right now.
Yeah.
And, they're terrified. Yeah. They are afraid. They're afraid that their government isn't going to be able to help them anymore.
Right.
And they are so out
I honestly don't see how government, whatever trust that those, people that identify as on the left, right, or even some rhinos on the right, I have a hard time squaring how government is going to earn trust, that little bit of trust back after something like that.
Right.
At the same time that you're saying we're going to release criminals, you're not specifying what type of criminal. So again, I want to be clear. I am against the war on drugs. I don't think that somebody that goes to jail for selling weed, I'm biased. I sold a lot of weed. I just never went to jail. But I could have been one of those people that went to jail for it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm opposed to that. And I don't think those people should have been in jail in the first place. However, by not giving the distinction between what type of people you're letting out of jail, and then in turn saying, we're not going to, come help you if something does happen. And then in turn saying, we actually may lock you up for being outside. So you're taking the people that have committed crimes out of jail. And then you're saying you potentially are going to put me in jail for being outside in the sun. And it's like, if that doesn't paint a picture for any adult to be intelligent enough to recognize they are not your friend, I don't really see how they're going to make that square with the general public again after this. It's like, if you slap me in the face, like, you'd have to go, like, not because I slapped you first, or like I trusted you and you just randomly one day just slap me, haul off and smack me in the mouth. I'm going to be very, very leery of you from now on, especially in slapping distance. And I think that the American people, and a lot of us that identify as on the right, we were like, yeah, bro, like, what did you think they were going to do? But some of those people, these are teachable moments, and we have to have empathy. It is very comforting to believe, whether you're right or not, or wrong, it is comforting to believe that your government is going to help you and or protect you. It is very comforting. It is very comforting for people to believe that, we Americans, we got real soft. We are so used to, even myself, I'll be self-critical. I have access to damn near every quality hunter in America. Like, I know a lot of them, like a lot. And they're like, Maj, come hunt, come hunt, come hunt. And I'm like, bro, like, I'm not hunting. Like, I live in Philly. and now who looks the fool? Because if you would have been going just a little further outstate during deer season in Pennsylvania, you could have got some quality venison for the price of some time and a couple of rounds. You could have hauled that back to the crib, chopped, I live up the street from a place where they cut the poultry up right in front of you, right? You could have hauled that back, even if you didn't want to process it yourself, or you could have learned how to process it yourself. You could have packaged it, could have vacuum sealed it, you could have brought it back to your deep freezer, and you wouldn't have even had to have this conversation. That is a contradiction on my part. That is a complacency because, I can just go to Trader Joe's or Wegmans or Food Lion or Walmart or whatever, or Whole Foods, whatever, wherever you go, right or left. That is a certain level of complacency. I've been getting so much in the housework done, like just changing. I forget that I know how to change my own oil and brake pads. You know what I mean? And it's like little things like that I want us to really, really recognize and be self-critical about, and just remember to remember, you know, and imagine if this would have happened in the dead of winter.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
You know,
that's
so
a whole
these
different
are all
scenario, right?
Whole different, because now even if I stand in a line where I got a social distance and the line's wrapped around the store, it's kind of warm now in Philly. It's 65, 70 degrees, which is, warm relatively for here. It gets very cold here in the wintertime, in the fall. So, and it's not all the way warm here. It's not summer yet. Imagine if you would have had to stand in this line at 2 degrees. So these are all very, very respectable, teachable moments that us as individuals, as well as us as a nation, you have been critically dependent on other nations for your manufacturing. There are stories of testing kits for Corona and COVID-19 coming back from China that have the damn virus on them.
Yes.
So at what point, when America was great is when Pittsburgh was producing 30% of the world's steel. When Philadelphia was a textile giant. I'm in my car right now. We're going to ride as I'm doing this. I can ride less than a mile. From where I am right now in North Philly. And I can show y'all huge abandoned factories that were textile manufacturers in Philadelphia. We're talking about men and women that were able to walk to work, walk back for their lunch break, and walk back home. We'll go to work back, and I don't have to pay for public transportation. I can support the businesses that are in the community, so forth and so on. We got rid of manufacturing. China's sitting pretty. So now here's the other question. Then you got to deal with, if China, and it's a big if China was responsible for this COVID and Corona and all of these other different things, what repercussions are there when this is who you become dependent upon for your manufacturing? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? I mean, we were beating them up because we got a good deal back with the tariffs, right? However, okay, well, if they just sprinkle in a little bit of biochemical warfare and now you're dependent upon, them for the stuff that you utilize, it speaks to our, again, complacency. All of these companies that pretend like they love America so much, okay, well, stop sending the jobs to communist nations. Stop sending the jobs to communist nations. Okay, maybe you won't have, as the CEO, maybe you won't have 14 Lamborghinis. Maybe you'll have to make do with 8. Somehow.
That's really roughing it. I feel like I'm roughing it right now because, I mean, what kind of backward society we living in right now that I can't get next day Amazon deliveries? I mean, so if I have to live with that, then the Lamborghini guy, he can cut back on a couple of
you can give up a couple of those Lambos. And so these are the things that we're talking about. But will it be painful for a moment for us to tighten the belt? Absolutely. It always is. But you know what happens when you tighten your belt and you work out and you discipline yourself? Self-restriction is the key to perfection. And when America was manufacturing, when America was focusing on that nuclear family, when America was not dependent, when our international policy was not having an international policy, because we were focused on not being the world's police. And to a certain extent, I have to be perfectly honest, we got to be critical. When we were not going in places, taking things from people that we had no business being. We didn't. We were much more well off. We have a nation right now whose infrastructure, our bridges are in abysmal conditions across the country. Abysmal. We have incentivized outsourcing our own everything. Think about that. I want everybody to hear me there. We have incentivized outsourcing our own everything.
No, I'm going to agree with you there. I mean, when you were talking about, we've got to be gracious about welcoming in new gun owners into the gun community and not feeling smug like, well, we told you so. What about the preppers who've got to be feeling like we told you so? Because, I'm like you. I've had a gajillion invitations to go out hunting for my first time ever. And I'm always like, well, someday, but not yet. And then I have family members who, they raise their own food and they can, and they do all this amazing stuff. And I'm like, yeah, that's really cool for you.
Maj, they eat pigeons, okay? They eat pigeons.
Right.
Okay,
well, it's
no.
like dove,
No, it's pigeon.
But at any rate, so there is that outsourcing. But like, I'm even thinking about the way that we outsource raising our children to the public school system.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
How much better can we be doing? And we're sort of being forced to do that right now because the schools are closed. And I'm a good teacher, but I've realized it's not my natural gift to teach a 5-year-old how to read. That is way harder than I thought it was going to be. But what an amazing opportunity we have to reconnect in that way and teach our youth our values, rather than the school's values. But yeah, we outsource way too much stuff.
The schools that have become leftist cesspools of propaganda. It's just the reality of it. So let me show y'all something real quick. So
sure,
this is a huge building that I'm going to turn around to, right?
Okay.
See this building behind me?
Oh, wow.
That huge building right there?
Yes.
That building was a textile manufacturing scenario. Huge. That building has sat, I'm going to get a little bit closer on it. That building has sat abandoned for over 20 years.
Oh, wow. What is that, like 8 stories tall? It's
about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Wow. And
Philadelphia, Boeing jet manufacturing was in Philadelphia. Like all of the fabrics, the clothes, all of that stuff. If I drove over to South Philly, right now I'm in North Philly. If I drove over to South Philly, you would see all of these factories. If I get in the car again, I'm in a stone's throw of 5 or 6 huge factories, maybe a little smaller than this. But we're talking about manufacturing. We're talking about office space. We're talking about all of these different things. But what's happened is we have given people, and I get it. In capitalism, I get it. You go wherever you can get it done for the cheapest. But the question that we have to ask ourselves, because we're in this space right now, the question that we have to ask ourselves is, how's that actually worked out for you? Because the reality is, okay, for maybe 10 years, you had, good profits, but those profits are going to get ate up now when you can't manufacture, and now your whole entire business is shut down for maybe a year. Was it actually cheaper?
Right.
Was it actually
cheaper at what cost?
Exactly. Right? It's going to cost you. And I think a lot of people don't understand that. They know the price of a lot of things, but they don't know the value of most things.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And so
true.
These are questions in moving forward that we have to ask ourselves. We have to say, I'll spend the extra $2 to buy American. All of the hoodies, the BGM hoodies, we manufacture those in America, period. So could I probably get a cheaper deal done in China or Taiwan? I probably could. I'm not going to, though.
That's
I'm just
awesome.
not going to. And it's like even down to, I had a BMW X5. Why do I need a German car? I traded it in for a Buick. My next car, I'll probably get a Cadillac. I was talking to Tommy Laren, who we've been communicating throughout this whole thing. And she's like, yo, I'm surprised at how people aren't this upset. Like, everybody's like, this is the quietest. I've seen people when, the potential for our freedoms to be gutted, as well as the exposure to these companies. 3M is still selling masks to other nations. If we're talking about making America great again, and if we're talking about keeping America first, not only, but first, this is the perfect time to start that process. So for me, I'm like, okay, maybe I'll go get the same Cadillac that Tommy has. She's got it in white. Maybe I'll get it in black. My point here is this. Detroit was an automobile giant Giant. We all have to come out of this with that better understanding. Our dependence. We stepped out of a lot of those OPEC situations. Our dependence on foreign oil. We did that. We did that under this current administration. We can continue to do that for all of the things that we make and value. Who says that foreign nations are superior in intellect or craftsmanship or manufacturing? Whoever told you that is probably the same people that's trying to cut corners, and they're just saying that to defend their profits. There has to be some form of sovereignty. And you cannot have sovereignty, whether you're black, white, Asian, Spanish, whatever type of ethnicity in America. America will not be sovereign if America can't make and sell and distribute its own goods.
Absolutely.
And all of this COVID-19 scenario is a great wake-up call for that. And I hope people, kind of like stay on point in that regard once this passes. Because I'm not I've been prepping for 7 years. So I have 7 years worth of me stashing stuff. I have a bunker, but that's me. That's not all of America. I'm sorry. All of America can't come to my bunker. America should be the bunker for Americans.
That is absolutely the truth. And just as we start wrapping up a little bit, you, however many years ago, when did you start Black Guns Matter?
2016. So now it's been 4 years.
So when you did that, you opened the doors for people who would have never thought that they were part of this constitutional inheritance, right? That just wasn't on their radar, or they had actually somehow been told that's not for you, that kind of thing. And you have been reconnecting people with that inheritance and that legacy. And, now that we're in this season with so many brand new gun owners who probably are like, okay, I got the thing. Now what? Your classes that you were going around the nation and will be again as soon as we're allowed to. Right? We love that word, right? Allowed. Then you're going to be the perfect first step. The classes you teach for people in that scenario. Talk to us a little bit about what those classes are.
Yeah, we do we are entry level. There is no other organization that does entry level breakdowns of firearms to absolute beginners. Now, do I have to go over the 4 safety rules a bajillion times? Yes. And that's good, because we need more people that are new, fresh blood. When you go to the gym, in order to develop a muscle, you have to work the muscle, and fresh oxygenated blood pumps into the muscle. That new, fresh oxygenated blood strengthens. It breaks down the food, all of the good stuff from the foods, and it puts it in the bloodstream, and it gets that muscle pumping, and you become stronger. Just like all of the people that are new gun owners, because in the month of March alone, we're going to continue to see more gun owners. Us at Black Guns Matter, we are the basic Bob, entry level. If you don't know anything about guns, we can come put you on that path, link you with firearms instructors, educators, attorneys, gun ranges in your city, and help you to develop those relationships with quality and competent people in that profession and in that gun industry. We do that. The classes are free. In the sense of, if you're a beginner, we want you to register for the class. We want you to come without having to pay. But how that's paid for is because everybody else across the country has donated $5, $50, $5,000, $25,000. Huge shouts to Gun Owners of America for donating $25,000 to cover the cost of 10 cities. As soon as we get back, once we get through this here, and we Americans, so we come from good soil. So we definitely will get through this. Biochemical or not, we are going to get through this, and we are going to hold who's ever responsible. Your day's going to come. We're just dealing with this whole little health scare right now. But right after that, we right on your ass, basically. With that being the case. I'm
ready for it. Let's go.
Absolutely. Our classes are there to the person that may feel a little intimidated, and our classes are not intimidating. Our classes are, it's what I love about like a Planet Fitness. Planet Fitness is like, listen, We get it if you guys are super duper bodybuilders, but this gym is for people that want to come, maybe lose some weight first. Maybe they're overweight and they just want to lose weight. We're not here to ridicule. We're not here to shame anybody. We're not here to make fun of anyone for not knowing what the tricep and this muscle and that's connected to that. We're not here for that. We are here to serve the people, especially, not limited to, but especially in the urban demographic that has been at the center of the scope of the racist policies of gun control all across America. Those high populations of people that are being exposed to a falsehood. And if you want to learn, we're here for you. We ask that everybody, you know, if you watch this interview today, and if you something is, you know, you get something from this and you agree with what we're talking about here right now, not even just only Second Amendment and gun related stuff, but these all, the coronavirus thing, that Ameri-CAN attitude and spirit, and the respect for the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, you know, wanting limited government, the government to do the job that it's supposed to do and not do jobs that it's not supposed to do. These are all of the things that we cover in our classes at the entry level. And if you agree with it, please, man, donate. We've been great stewards over the money for the last few years. At this point, I think we've raised maybe $280,000. If you have $5, $50, $500,000, some of you super rich women and guys, great, you know, support. But please shoot over to the GoFundMe page, gofundme.com/Black Guns Matter, and just support. What my skill set is the ability to translate information to people that have never experienced it. I'm a connector. You know, sometimes you have a cord and it's a 3-prong cord, and, you know, or whatever, and your adapter is only 2-prong, and it cannot help you without that adapter or that translation. You know, you can have the greatest television in the world, but if you don't have an adapter, it's not going to work. You do not have a connection. And so my skill set, and a lot of the people that work with us at Black Guns Matter, our skill set is translating seemingly complex information into bite-sized pieces that the average layperson can receive and apply immediately. So again, if that's something that you are about, and if you see the importance of it, please shoot over to gofundme.com/Black Guns Matter. Help out a bit, because I cannot wait to get back on the road and get outside after this whole COVID thing is over with.
Well, if you you know Cassie, and if she was in the studio right now, she would be saying, "It's a whole new world." Right?
Yeah.
She'd have to throw some kind of Disney thing in there,
Right.
and it is a whole new world. And you know, we're going to need to learn to care about the other side and help them with their transition to coming to our side of the guns and the rights and that. So
absolutely. And you know, if you've got the $5 or the $5 million that Maj was talking about, please donate it. But if you kind of like to get a little something for your money, he has some amazing, not just t-shirts, but hoodies with the Black Guns Matter logo. It's strong. It's very recognizable. I know you do these in a lot of different shirt colors, but you've got some other really important sayings, unlike the one you're wearing. Freedom over everything. That is such an important message. And so just go over to, tell us the website again so people can.
Yeah. It's Black Guns
what
Matter.
Else are they doing?
blackgunsmatter.myshopify.com. Go over there, grab some merch. T-shirts are $30, hoodies $50. Just grab something. You know what, y'all? We should make a azfirearms.com promo code for Shopify. That'll be cool.
We totally need to do that. As soon as we get off of this, we're going to work on that. I love it.
You know, if you go to a crowd and you see somebody wearing a Black Guns Matter shirt, they're going to get talked to.
They are.
In a good way. I mean, it's going to bring a conversation, and that's what we need, right? We need that conversation.
We really do. And Maj, you've been such an incredible support to our little mom and pops. AZ Firearms is Dan and I and a few staff members. And, you know, Maj has had such an incredible opportunity to be on national media of all kinds. You were on the main stage at CPAC, and you gave us a shout out, our little mom and pops, shop, AZ Firearms, you gave us a shout out on CPAC stage, and my phone started blowing up for people saying, you will never believe what Maj just did. He mentioned your name on the stage. And the thing that people were mostly having fun with is that you said something about, Cheryl's really great or whatever. And you're like, yeah, Dan's okay too.
Yeah.
So I've been living in that space, really soaking that one up.
No doubt. I figured you would like that one, Cheryl.
I did a lot. I think I'm going to get a little GIF of it and just have it playing over and over. That'll be Dan's ringtone pretty soon.
Right.
And Maj, as Winston Churchill says, even when times get rough, never give up. You are doing an awesome job, and you never give up, no matter how hard it gets. Never.
Absolutely. I will not. All right, I'm ghost, y'all. I'm going to get a cheesesteak.
All right, that sounds good.
Well, let's take that back. I'm going to get the stuff to make a cheesesteak.
Because you've been learning how to cook even before this started. So
yep.
I love that. All right, Maj Toure of Black Guns Matter. Thank you again so much, Maj. We will talk to you soon.
Thanks. I'll see y'all in a bit.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.
All right, peace.
All right. Well, he is so well read, and he has such great ideas about, how to bring people into the community, very non-threatening, very welcoming. I think he's the perfect voice.
No matter who you are or what you are. It
Absolutely.
doesn't matter. He's amazing, and I learn something every time I talk to him.
That's the truth. All right. Well, we've got to wrap up and get out of here. So until next time, pray for our nation. Pray for our leaders.
Wait, before we do that, I heard you talking to Maj.
Yeah.
And you said, you're trying to teach your 5-year-old daughter to read. And
granddaughter
to read. And it's been tough, right?
Yes.
Well, Cheryl, if you wouldn't be trying to teach her this right now,
the Constitution.
It's a little tough for her to read this at 5.
You think the Constitution is a little advanced for a 5-year-old?
So maybe you should get some easier books to start out with.
Okay.
And get her to this.
You know what? I agree with that.
Yeah. I saw her yesterday. She's trying to teaching the words to this to Raylan. Raylan's going, I want candy.
Hey, they got to start somewhere, right? So well, maybe we should start with being able to read CAT cat, DOG dog. So,
yes.
All right. Pray for our nation. Pray for our leaders.
All of them?
You know what I'm going to say right now.
What?
Of course, all of them.
And I'm going to say,
even the ones you don't like, especially the ones you don't like.
All right.
You don't sound very convincing.
Well, you got to look at what's over there. It's hard. It's really hard because
they need
I'm trying to pray they get knowledge, and that's not working. I don't know. Okay. All right. I'll do it.
All right. Have a great week. Be good to each other, and God bless.